Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. I hope you guys had a fantastic, fun St. Patrick's Day yesterday. And yes, we are on March 18th, Saturday. We're starting with a brand new master topic. Our brand new intro and outro is now together for our show. Really excited about that. And our new music is on with the show as well. And so, you know how we roll. We start today on a Saturday with a new master topic. We roll all the way through the week, and we end up on a Friday. So, thank you so much for popping in. Really do appreciate you doing that. And if you're coming back, well, I thank you for coming back and watching us, supporting us, friends, colleagues, associates. Really do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And also, if you're on the replays, whether that's 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 a.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 12 midnight, 12 noon, or whatever time you watch us. Thank you so very much for making us part of your daily lives. All right. So we have an amazing master topic. Is everyone ready for it? Here it is. Our master topic, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this master topic? This is one that I think is pretty cool. And a lot of people ask me this question. And I think it comes down to, is it possible? And it definitely is possible. It's just, do you believe it's possible? See, that's what I want to say to you. And here it is, everyone. It is this. It's how to build, yes, how to build an A team. How to build an A team. Series 2, which means we're in year 2. We are in show 12. And we are in episode number 1. Hey, Daniel, thank you so much for the like. Really do appreciate that. So when we're talking about building an A team, we're really referring to a team that is going to be resilient, a team that is going to be able to get things done, a team that's going to be very efficient, right? And we have to decide what type of team we're going to put together. And so when we think about that, we have to consider the different types of resources, right? But we have to ask ourselves, if this is a team for business, well, what are the goals for the company or organization um, by forming this particular team? If it's personal, well, why are you forming this team? For your own reasons in life? Like, what are your goals? Okay. Every team gets formed because you have a goal. All right. And if you don't plan and you just put a team together, well, the team's not going to be as effective as it could be. When you start out, it's very paramount that you define roles in your team immediately. It's good to have a plan. When you're interviewing people for your team, find out what their strengths and weaknesses are. So you make sure you're going to have a good balance of people, but skill sets. So when you have someone that's weak in an area, well, you can have other people that can actually augment those other people, and people that might be strong in other areas. Well, they can help other people, right? So we look for something called a skill set. All right. And we want to maximize the skills of every one of your team members. I mean, that is really the goal when we put a team together. When we think of a team on, let's say, maybe the football field or perhaps baseball field, you might say, John, that's different. Well, not really. So, there are roles for people that are on a football team. So let's talk about this for a second. So, what are the positions, okay, on a football team? What are these positions, ladies and gentlemen? So there are a few. And so there are actually 11 players, okay, typically. And they can broadly be divided into 4 positions. Um, so when we think about what goes on, there are the positions 7 in football, as we'd say. And so the number 7 is usually reserved for wingers or second stingers. Okay. But people say to me, hey, John, what are, the positions in football? You have things like quarterbacks, offensive linemen, fullback, tight end, wide receiver. But what are all the positions on a football team in detail? Because I know even if you're watching TV, you're like, I don't quite get all these positions. And it's a lot to understand these different positions. And so when we think about the positions, here's what we have on a football team. We have a quarterback. Most people know the quarterback. This is the person that gets the ball from the center and controls the play. The quarterback might hand the ball off to a running back on a rushing play, or they might pass it to a running back, tight end, or a wide receiver. All right, we have an offensive lineman. With some offensive positions, the number of each player type on the field can vary. So there could be 1, 2, or even 5 wide receivers on the field, but there must always be 5 offensive linemen. Okay. From the quarterback's perspective or point of view, those 5 are the left tackle, the left guard, the center, the right guard, and the right tackle. So the center is the most important member of the offensive line. And this is something that all football teams know, and they guard this position very well. You have the running back. The running back's primary job is to get that ball from the quarterback and run with it on the rushing plays. The running back also blocks for the quarterback on some passing plays and may run out to catch a pass. All right. So we have a fullback. It's another kind of running back, kind of a mix between an offensive lineman and a running back, and they usually line up behind the quarterback and in front of the tailback and are often tasked with blocking for the running back, who is typically the main person that is running or having the ball carrier position. We have a TE or a tight end, usually lines up right next to the offensive line, and that's the tight part. And these players are usually bigger than wide receivers, but smaller than offensive linemen, and their job is a hybrid of two. The DE combines strength, power, and the ability to block of defensive linemen with the pass catching and running abilities of a wide receiver. Tight ends are like a middle of the road character you might create in a video game. They are pretty good at everything and don't have any glaring weaknesses. They can block, but not as well as an offensive lineman, and can run and catch, but not as well as a wide receiver. So what is a wide receiver at WR? Well, they line up at or near the line of the scrimmage, the line where the ball is before the play, and outside the offensive line, and the tight end being on the edges is the wide part of the position's name. And so while they can be used to carry the ball like a running back, and may have some responsibility to block on running plays, wide receivers are known for catching passes. All right. So what are the defensive positions? So we talked about the offensive positions, right? Now let's talk about the defensive positions. You have a defensive lineman. Tends to be the bigger players who start the play at the line of scrimmage. And there are normally 3 or 4 defensive linemen on the field, and they tend to put one or both hands on the ground before the play. Unlike on the offensive line, where the outside players are the tackle, the defensive linemen in the middle are called the defensive tackles. When there's only one defensive tackle, that player is sometimes called a nose tackle because they start over the nose of the ball. We have something called a linebacker, and they're behind the defensive line. And if the defense has 3 defensive linemen, there are usually 4 linebackers. So linebackers are responsible for stopping a running back who had run through a hole in the defensive line. Pretty important position. Cornerback. They're called the defensive backfield or defensive backs because they play in the back of the defensive. And cornerbacks are lined up on the outside of the defense and are usually tasked with covering the offensive best receivers. All right. We have our safeties. They're the last line of defense. They usually play all the way in the back of the defense and are responsible for making sure no offensive player gets past everyone else on the defense. Safeties are usually not as fast as cornerbacks, but they often are better at reading and patrolling larger areas of the field. So we have specific team positions, which are all part of this team of a football team. We have K for a kicker. Obviously, the person's going to kick the ball off the ground on the kickoff, field goal, and the point after the touchdown, also known as the extra point or the pat. There is the punter. On the 4th down, an offensive sometimes won't try to get the first down because if they fail, the other team will get the ball right away where the offense was stopped. Instead, the coach may call on the punter, and this play can punt the ball to the other team. There's the KR, the kick returner. When the kicker boots a kickoff, the kick returner catches it and runs toward the opposing team's end zone. These players are usually speedy and are often also wide receivers or defensive backs. You have the punt returner. When the punt basically player to the opposing team, the punt returner catches it, and the player may be called for a fair catch. We have the long snapper. It's a special kind of center who snaps the ball on punts and kicks. And they snap the ball between their legs to the punter on a punt or to the player holding the ball for the kicker on the field goals and the pats. So a football team, just like any other team, is a very carefully orchestrated team. And so in building a team, we need to figure out what are the roles of the people going to be on this team, right? You might have a small team, and one of the people's roles might be just logistics. Another person might be scheduling. Another person's role might be relations. Another person might be a person that handles, let's say, outside guest coordination. A little different than logistics. Logistics is more the place where outside the person speaking is a little bit different. And so you want to set expectations for the long term, but also the short term. And so everyone on the team needs to understand what are these goals. And so it's very important that when you have this team, that you celebrate success. Now, most teams that I know never celebrate until it's a major success. See, that's wrong. We want to celebrate even the small successes. That's right. We want to celebrate even the small successes. And so, just like we talked about the football team, in our life, we orchestrate teams to help us delegate tasks that can be done repetitively, and they can be done much more efficiently, right? Now, on a team, once we know what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are, we're able to run things up the pole a lot faster. We're able to be more efficient. We're also able to not only be efficient, but we can learn how to grow that team. So if one part of the team says, hey, we need somebody that can do environmental engineering. We don't have somebody. Oh, I think Jim does that. I'll ask him if he can come to that. Great. Good. Do we know anybody else? Yeah, I know Morgan. She does that too. Good. Let's bring two and let's see. We need one, but if both want to join, that's great. It'd be good to have at least one of them here at both at all times. And so I think that'll be great if we ask them both. Fantastic. So building a team happens because of a vision, right? And you put a team together so that you can carry out that vision, you can carry out that goal. Because we've learned a long time ago that we are more powerful when we come together as one, right? 2 heads are better than one, 10 heads are better than one. So we're able to orchestrate things, we're able to carry things out in a very interesting manner. And so when we appreciate the philosophy of a team, we also want to make sure that we do not micromanage the team. Give people the roles that they're responsible for and let those people take accountability. If those people fail, they're going to fail. And if they're not able to solve the situation, then that person might be replaced. But don't micromanage every little step. We want to assume that the team is going to act like adults and do the right thing. We want to motivate the team with positivity, not negativity. Okay. We want to also put together the premise that we are here for a common goal. And that while we're here for a common goal, we are developing a team culture that is going to facilitate things both in the meeting, outside the meeting, and allow us to orchestrate our goals. Now, if you're saying to me, hey, John, I don't know where to start. So the first thing you need to do, and I'll review, is figure out what you want to accomplish, right? Once you figure out what you want to accomplish, then you have to decide, well, what kind of roles or what kind of specific tasks do I need to have done? And what kind of role people do I need? Is it engineer? Is it graphics, engineering? Is it legal? Like, what do we need? And if you can't figure that out, then the best thing to do is to call what I refer to as a task meeting. This is where you say you have this idea, you're working on putting together a new, let's say, group, and we're going to be doing a, let's say, a task meeting to basically build our group. And everybody kind of just chimes in with what is best for the group. Teams have an ability to take your plan and skyrocket it. Why? Because every person on that team is highly sophisticated and efficient at doing their task. Let's say that we had someone that was a mechanical engineer, right? And they're very good with numbers and they know how to make equipment work in terms of specifications and any types of, let's say, different devices that will use pulleys or weights. And then maybe we need an environmental engineer to understand how that's going to interface. So you wouldn't ask the environmental engineer to do the electrical, or you wouldn't ask the mechanical engineer to do the electrical or to do the environmental because it's not in their bailiwick. Knowing that everyone stays in their own compartment, even though they can have suggestions, but each person is brought to this committee because of their professional experience, because of their expertise, because of their success on other projects. So when you bring a group to this stature together, you can ask for people's resumes and why you think they would be a good fit. And if you don't find a good fit, then maybe that person's not good for the group. I always say to people, spend time to bring people in the group slowly. But if somebody is a problem, remove them quickly. So you're embarking on a process that might last for 6 months, might last for a year, might last 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, or longer. And how you start the process is not only critical today, but will affect the success of the project in the future. So thinking about teams, an A team is one where everyone just steps up. No one blames somebody if something goes wrong. Somebody just fills in and picks up whatever needs to be done. That's an A team. An A team is all about purpose, okay? And everyone knows the general purpose. They all know their specific purpose, and they all can offer additional purposes when someone falls short. What you don't want to do with an A team is bog one person to be responsible for everything. Because number one, that's going to stress them out. Number two, they don't have those kind of resources. And number three, you're going to potentially have issues like deadlines being missed. You're also going to find that the information that is being shared with the team might not be as accurate as it can be because they're not putting in the time. Everyone at these kind of meetings usually gets some homework. And it's not like ours, but it's usually a small project, and they have to come back with that homework. And so once they do, they'll come back typically with a presentation. Now, of course, this is not about impressing the committee. It's about giving the best that you have, putting your best foot forward. So yes, putting a PowerPoint presentation, doing whatever you need to get this idea explained to people that might not understand it. Because remember, you're an expert in what you're doing. You need to get the rest of the board, the committee, on board with what you're doing. And this is just part one, ladies and gentlemen, of how to build an A team. We got so much more to cover. Be sure, ladies and gentlemen, to like, love, support my channel, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. Go to my YouTube channel, John Space, E Space, M-O-R-L-E-Y Space, Serial Entrepreneur. Look for that key freeze. Help keep our content free. Make the choice to buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or a delicious dessert. Either way, we're going to be grateful. Those pennies and dollars. We'll invest them into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, empowered content to get you to live a life of purpose and to build a team that you and others will be proud of. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, because you know what? I'm going to see you guys when? I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. We'll see you soon, everyone. Take care.